Disney's boy trouble, guys. This was the big news yesterday. Everybody's made videos about it.
What a weird fucking headline. Can we just say that? Like, like over the past 5 years, with everything the company's been implicated in, and like Elio is supposed to be gay as shit, and all these Pixar queer trans characters, Disney's boy trouble. What, they fucked them?
Boy trouble.
Is this the gayest Gen Z ever?
Yes.
I like how it's also they literally bought properties that were male and boy branded, and now they're having to seek something else because they've turned those into girls.
I wonder what happened.
I wonder what could have happened.
That's the source of all of this. And they didn't say this particularly with Marvel when they bought it back in 2009, but Bob Iger like mentions it in his book. And they made it clear that like one of the reasons they bought Star Wars was to bring in more of a male audience. That's what they were trying to do, because Disney has always been a girls brand. It always skews girl. It always skews Disney princess. It always has. So they needed some masculinity, and what did they do? They made it a girl brand.
Made it gay.
Put a chick in it and make it gay.
They made it a girl brand. Disney's boy trouble. Studio seeks original IP to win back Gen Z men amid Marvel Lucasfilm struggles. So they admit there's a struggle. I'm glad that they admit there's a struggle with Marvel. The thing is, though, and we've all mentioned this, they aren't planning to fix Marvel and Star Wars. They are planning to move on.
Yeah,
they're planning
That's amazing.
That's exactly it.
They are planning to move on to other things. Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty aren't the only ones looking for a prince. Now,
these writers, they're so good.
They are.
This is almost as funny as James Gunn.
Yeah.
Leadership, Walt Disney Studios has been pressing Hollywood creatives to recent months. Multiple sources tell Variety for movies that will bring young men back to the brand in a meaningful way, guys. Young men, in quotes, is defined here by people who are too old for Kevin Spacey.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
They've aged now.
I mean, we're not going to go over the whole article, but we can discuss the bullet points, which I'm sure most of you have read this already. First, every film studio is looking for better ways to convert young audiences, convert young audiences into convert young audiences into habitual moviegoers. I'm glad they said moviegoers, because they've been so busy converting young people to other things, like Moloch. Numerous studies show that Gen Z men, in particular, are a lonely, gaming-obsessed group who were hampered in their formative years by COVID-19. Even the 28-year-olds, apparently, the lockdowns. Hey, I know you're incels, but we need your money. Okay?
They're fucking losers.
I know you're fucking
really
losers.
Gaming obsessed. I really want to.
I know they're in their mother's basements masturbating to porn every day.
But we kind of need their money.
But we kind of need you now, okay? Oh my God! And hey, we need you to come back to all that nerd stuff, that you incels all like. Even though within the stories, we're gonna make you all the bad guys still. For the next year. For the next year, every superhero thing is going to either have an incel controlling an AI to bring back fascism. That's going to be every fucking story for the next 2 years from Hollywood. Not the easiest segment to grasp.
This is so stupid.
It is so dumb. It actually is, but fuck off. But what's surprising producers and writers, I love this line, and other partners in the larger industry is that Disney has been calling for original concepts. They even call out Disney. It's like to lure the demo back to the movies. It's like,
it's funny.
Wait a minute.
And they fucked it up.
It's like, forget the admitting that you need men thing. You want to do original stuff? What the fuck are you talking about?
Because that's worked out so well for you. How did Elio do this year, huh?
This is so funny. Instead of fixing any of the properties they have, let's just try and find some new stuff that we can ruin.
What can we buy, basically?
Hey, at least it's some movement, though. At least it's some growth from them. Now they're going to ruin their own stuff before ruining other people.
If they can't adapt Star Wars, you can't adapt original shit. Okay,
they're done.
It was already there.
They can't even put out a Blade movie. wear blades and leather killing vampires, then yeah, guess what? They can't do anything.
If that baffles you,
Indeed.
you might have a problem.
Yeah. Well, the first step is admitting you have a problem, but the thing is, they're going to go, we have a problem, and promptly forget about it and keep doing what they've been doing.
Well, I mean,
Okay, I was going to say what they need to do is go back to the way it all started. Men created the industry. Men created the IP. Men wrote this shit. Men wrote the fucking software that created the CG stuff. Men did all of this stuff. Then it was taken away from us. The comic books were originally written by men. This was all created by men. With the
but who got
woman.
you coffee?
That's correct.
Very important.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Very important.
Kennedy, yeah.
Who administered the enemas? This is all super important. But so this was all now taken away from us. The comic book industry was handed over to women. The book publishing is now all being managed by women. The studios are managed by women or guys who want to be women. And now they're figuring out, well, so how do we get this whole thing back? Well, give all this stuff back to us. We created it.
Yep.
We can do this again.
But
don't think about how to do it. Just give it back to us.
Giving up power.
But that means giving up power. They never do that.
That's the issue. Thank you.
Yes. It was always about power, ego, hubris. It wasn't about fixing anything. They could have fixed Marvel and Star Wars years ago. They could have fixed Star Trek years ago. And even this article fails to mention what the actual problem is. Right. They don't really get it. They don't mention Kathleen Kennedy at all. They don't get into how the stories treat men, how the stories treat heroes, how these companies have treated fans. And they always want to listen. The internet's the internet. You're hearing everybody. So they want to point out the assholes. There's always assholes and trolls, and they're usually 14.
You're welcome.
But they don't want. But they don't want to listen to what the legit. And we've been saying this for years. The legit criticism they've been getting from fans for half a decade, for a decade. We're a decade into this shit.
Yes.
Right.
Consistent criticism, not random throwing out shit. Consistent criticism on the very same points year after year after year. And now they go, oh, where are all the men? Why don't they like our stuff? It's because you made it for somebody else. And you explicitly said it's for somebody else and not you.
Forces
Well, it's like the Democratic Party trying to figure out why aren't men voting Democrat anymore. It's like, gee, I wonder why.
Well,
maybe it's because you
had to go make it political.
You had to go.
It's the same fucking thing, dude.
It is. There was an article in the Los Angeles Times saying that the Democratic Party and Hollywood are going through exactly the same thing, right? And it's because you drove away dudes, and in driving away dudes, you drove away a bunch of women too, who just happen to like dudes.
Well, the whole problem, right? Paul, you brought up a good point earlier. The K-pop show, it's for girls.
Yeah,
it's made in a way that girls like shows. We've completely moved away from these facts, from reality. That's what they tried to push for 10 years and say, no, girls don't like this. Girls will like Star Wars. Girls will like X. Girls will like Y. Boys will like this. Boys will like that. They didn't just go, okay, boys naturally gravitate towards guns and swords and magic, and girls gravitate towards Barbies and horses and stuff romance. And dancing and romance, right? Like, that's why Hollywood is failing. That's why all these different verticals are failing, is because they've denied reality for so long.
Basic biology.
On that point, their underpinning philosophy was that they wanted to destroy the concepts of gender completely.
Yes.
And
exactly.
That's been the philosophy that has caused so many of these changes. And wouldn't you know, men often act like men, oddly enough, and they like being men.
They want to make it fluid and coded and they were certainly going that direction, and they stopped. But you can't turn on a dime. That's the whole thing. Is if Disney even wants to change, which I doubt, it's going to be years.
They're not going to.
And they would have to gut the company. They have to get rid of the woke activists, and they're not going to do it.
They're not going to do it.
They've already hit the iceberg. The iceberg has come and gone, and they're slowly breaking and sinking into the ocean.
They've hit the iceberg, and they're steering into the next one.
Well,
they're like,
right? Yeah, they're like, we're going to hit another one
before we think.
We didn't hit them all.
Like the meme of putting the stick in your own bicycle wheel, right? You just I'm gonna keep on knocking myself down.
No, so these giant monolithic corporations aren't going to be able to operate in this environment. What do they always bring up now in almost every entertainment article where they're doing some form of navel gazing? They're bringing up YouTube, they're bringing up TikTok all the time. Why? Because that's beating their ass right now. And if they're looking for their competitor to be like their competitor, it means they're so far behind. And those are things that can change on a dime. And we're starting to see like the ecosphere change a little on the peripheral with things they can change quickly, like live TV or TV shows they turn around. But anything genre, anything that takes, or I don't know, your regular fucking series nowadays takes 3 years to come out. You know, like it's going to be dated by the time it comes out. And then you swing back to they just don't have any masculinity in Hollywood anymore. It's been sucked out by West Hollywood.
Well, they keep trying
your
to
version
Pedro
of
Pascal.
Yeah, I was like, when your version of masculinity is Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
My sense is that they don't want to go for that aspect of male interest in masculinity, that they want us back, but they don't want to include the people they don't like. So, for instance, let's say Trailer Park Boys style of humor. And you guys are familiar with Trailer Park Boys?
Oh, yeah. Genius.
So the thing is, they're afraid to go all the way.
Yeah.
They're making this placid, bleating request, but they won't they don't really believe it. I don't believe them at all.
100% right.
What they're doing is what they do exactly to every season of Star Trek, this new Star Trek. They say, next season, we're going to make it more like the original show that people love. And then this is what Disney's doing. We're going to start catering towards men. Here's another fucking princess.
What has Bob Iger been saying for 6 years straight now? Or 4 years. Sorry, I don't want to over-exaggerate. 4 years straight. He's been saying we're going to prioritize quality over quantity. Yeah. First saying we haven't been putting out quality at all. And they still have it. And now he's like, oh, we're going to do original stuff. But by the way, please watch the next 14 sequels we're going to release.
That's the other thing. Yeah. Because like just last year, it was like, oh, we're going to greenlight all these sequels. We're going to greenlight all of this, pre-established IP content, because they realize that's the only thing that actually makes money these days. So it's like, it's so amazing just how these people,
because that's all they put out.
Yes.
That's all they put out. So of course it's going to be the only thing that makes money.
They're upset that they have not been able to change what men fundamentally want and like to watch, and they're pissy about it. Their egos are so out of control. They're like actually upset and maybe slowly coming to grips, like, wow, we haven't been able to change culture in a really significant way. Or
we're pigs.
It goes it's a little bit worse than that, because they've cast off their current target audience. They said we don't want it, and they've been trying to attach the youth of today, and they can't even capture that. So even though the youth has been called, it's so much more progressive. Doctor Who talks about, but even though nobody watched our fucking show because it was dog shit, the demographic in the 18 to 25s was actually up a little bit. They're chasing that audience, and the fact is, because the audience has shrunk so dramatically, the audience that they're actually chasing is a mere fraction. And so they don't get it.
Well, that's the modern audience myth. They honestly thought that all the woke people in their general vicinity, all in Hollywood, reflected the real world. And it's like, well, if we just pandered to this group, they honestly believe. What was that thing that the trans person on Doctor Who said? For every bigot we lose,
bigot we lose, we'll gain 5 new people.
Who love diversity. How did that work out? But that's them thinking. That's them thinking that they were the majority opinion, and they're not even by a fraction.
They absolutely won the 18 to 18 and a half demographic.
They did win that modern audience. It's just that it's
minuscule.
Tiny. It's minuscule. Yes,
we saw this in comic books. They would always chase, and this is good. Initially, you chase the new reader. You wanted to cycle people in, and they thought their big idea would be, let's make a number one every 6 months. And it made things more confusing. And we'll lure them in with covers. They don't have to read the story anymore, and that's just normal bad business decisions.
Yeah.
But which is great in the now, which is great for the moment, but it's shit for longevity, and it's not sustainable. And what they have done, Ryan mentioned it, we've mentioned it, they've lost generations because of chasing this modern audience. So Star Trek has been aging out for 2 generations, to be honest with you. Star Wars, which has just lost their first generation, right? So, and Doctor Who did the unthinkable. They gained a generation. They actually gained a generation after it was canceled and missing, and then they immediately lost it. So it's all Star Trek, Doctor Who, now Marvel, and Star Wars are all aging out. And Hollywood's ready to move on. Like sorry, video games and anime, you're next.
To be honest, would it be great to hear them be like, hey, we're really sorry that we took this wrong turn. We were so wrong, all that stuff. Yeah, that would be fucking awesome to see them like bend the knee and admit this. All that they need to do is start making good shit consistently.
Yep.
Right? That's what they have to do, bottom line. If they come up with some groveling apology and they say, hey, we're going to hire back these people, whatever, and they still turn out shit, what does it fucking matter?
Exactly.
But they got to stop thinking they can control the male audience. They have to accept the entire breadth and width of our stupidity.
Typical women.
But to do that, they have to accept that
My wife does.
Masculinity exists.
Yes.
Not toxic
Yes, they do.
masculinity and femininity exists.
You got to consider,
and gender exists as concept.
you don't get to choose.
Biological fact.
You don't get to choose your legacy, and you don't get to choose your audience. Your audience chooses you, and you have to accept them for what they are. And when you're like, we don't want the bigots around here, I don't need you. Well, guess what?
Sorry.
For one, there's a lot of friendly fire there. I know what their intention is because actors are stupid and they don't realize that they're throwing offense at people who they might not intend to, but they're going to get it anyway. And that's why we see a decrease in ticket sales. That's why we see a decrease in profits. That's why we see an overall decrease in moviegoers. And it's all because you chased half the country away constantly. Time and time again. You're still doing it. They're still fucking doing it. You know, you think they would have learned their lesson last year, like the ass kicking they got last year. Nope, they're doubling, tripling down. And I think some studios will figure it out and try to change. I don't think Disney's the studio that will ever change.
Oh, not a chance. Because going back to what Ryan was saying, where he said they need to make good stuff, I don't think they're capable of making good stuff with the current talent that they have in. Yeah. They would need to hire not only new people, they would need to hire men. Once again,
what
was saying.
Inside of Disney, I think they are very aware of what's going on and that they need to go back in some way. They've brought back a lot of the old animators that are still alive from like the 80s and from the 90s to retrain people. So it's like, you know how to fix it. Will you have the balls to completely fix it? Because if you leave any amount of this rot in the company, it's going to destroy everything because they're gonna be inside the office. They're gonna be talking shit. They're gonna be trying to push their stuff. We saw it with Elio. They're trying to be fair. Like, I don't think they can.
To be fair, like with what you're saying, Garrett, we saw all the fucking queers that work at Pixar get really pissed off and upset because they turned Elio into some gay story about a 9-year-old boy, right, who's thirsting after other boys. And some of the executives were like, yep. Not going to do that. Why don't you cut that out? And they got all pissy. Inside Out 2, which was a massive success, right? What did the executives have for feedback on that? The Pixar people that work there, they got very fucking upset because the executives were making extra sure that there could be nothing in there that was considered like queer coded or queer baiting or whatever. Like, we want to make it as crystal fucking clear as possible that this girl is not gay and not a lesbian in any way. Yeah. So it does look like there's some people who are trying to control that, but the problem is you have so many people that are there actively employed everywhere.
It's a game.
Even if those execs are like that, you can feel the pushback from within the building where every article comes out and all these people spill the beans in an effort to pressure the executive to bend the knee and suck the rainbow colored cock.
Very eloquently put.
Taste the rainbow.
It's accurate though.
Well, Victoria Alonso, what did she start getting in trouble for? They removed a pride flag from Ant-Man Comicmania, and she got pissed off about it. She went to an LGBTQ plus whatever function and basically called her CEO out at the like at a Disney function, like on video. And they found a way to get rid of her. So Ryan's right. The cancer, like, we've said it before, you would have to gut Disney like Twitter. You would have to, like, 70% of the staff would have to go. And Disney they're not even like a studio, first and foremost. They're an experience brand. They make most of their money off of parks and hotels and cruise ships. And
they used to be a studio.
But now they're a giant conglomerate that just buys stuff and doesn't innovate anything and hasn't for the longest time. And that's because they reach maturity. Usually there's a studio that's a big dog for a little while. Remember, Warner Brothers was the big dog, 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And it's time for a new one. And they're going to, like, They talked about all the billion-dollar films they had last year, and they're probably going to have some billion-dollar films this year. But I'd like to point out that the billion-dollar film from this year so far, all the profits were erased by the two flops, by just two flops.
Whoa.
That's not even counting Snow White, right? So Avatar will be, 12 days at the end of the year. It'll probably hit $1 billion by that, but like it'll be 12. Yeah. It'll be 12 days at the end of the year. Maybe the furries will show up to Zootopia 2. And, get that over the $1 billion mark. But otherwise, it is a bleak year. And I said it last week. I said, we're going to start seeing articles about how bleak this year is, probably starting next week after. And they were really hoping Fantastic Four would leg it out. There's nothing. There is absolutely nothing out there. That's, we got Weapons doing well, but that's not going to carry, a theater.
It's a small production that's doing really well, but really well for a small budget movie is 170, 180 at the box office right now.
You need 50 weapons,
but
all throughout the year.
Yes, exactly. You need.
And you know what Weapons wasn't filled with? A bunch of fucking message bullshit.
No, it wasn't
at all. So that was nice.
It was filmed with stupid stuff like good characters.
The male problem is not just a Disney problem; it's a Hollywood problem. But at least there are other studios trying to fix that. Yes, we still have the action genre and stuff. And guess what? It's successful for the most part. You know what's one of the more successful shows on Amazon Prime? Reacher. Fuck it, Reacher, which is basic action show. So, and it's cheap and they can turn it around once a year. The sources say Disney has been seeking new IP pitches such as splashy global adventures and treasure hunts. What does that even mean?
Well, no, Britain, like National Treasure, stuff like that. Stuff that was fun. They did a terrible TV show that was cancelled after one season. Weapons is going to do more at the box office than the fucking Marvels.
Yes.
Yep.
But this article
on that one.
This article treats men as if we're inside some glass box.
Yep. Yes.
We're fragile.
Well, speak for yourself,
I mean, okay, Paul, to be fair to them, considering the men that they work around in Hollywood, I mean,
they are fragile.
I'm not fragile.
The calls come as...
This is what you want, isn't it? Yes. Yeah.
The calls come as the Star Wars machine struggles to produce any film project, and the superhero genre sheds audiences by the minute. Wow.
Whoa.
Machine.
I thought this is a return to form. I thought this was a success. I thought this was a blah, blah, blah.
I think the reality is when you look at both Star Wars and Marvel, I think both of them were so confident in their successes and so confident they could get people there. They thought, you know what? These people that have been fans of this franchise, that have been shown that are buying tickets, they're going to keep buying tickets no matter what. We're going to throw the logo on there. We're going to throw that music on there. We're going to throw the Marvel intro on there, and they're going to show up in droves, whether something's
Cracker Barrel logo on there. They're going to keep on.
And then they didn't. And the audience that they were trying to attract by putting in more female heroes than male heroes, like Kevin Feige said, the audience they were trying to attract with all these female-led storylines and stuff like that from Star Wars, all the Mary Sues all over the place, they didn't show up. So then you lose your original audience. And guess what? The women that liked Star Wars, the women that liked Marvel, they liked it the way that it was.
Yes.
Yep.
100%.
So not only did you lose the male audience, but you lost the female audience, the 30%, whatever you want to say that number is. You lost them too because they liked it that way.
The attitude in Hollywood was, we're going to take these male brands and we're going to teach you how to act.
Make you better.
We're not going to tell you. We're not going to tell you what to think. We're going to show you how. And that was their whole attitude. Is like, we are going to deal with this toxic masculinity right where it comes from and all their stories. That'll teach them. And these guys will come around and it just didn't work out very well. But it was turning these things into platforms. That's all they were. They weren't. It wasn't entertainment. It wasn't even popcorn entertainment. It was edutainment.
I really think the attitude where they thought like they can just slap the Star Wars brand on any piece of crap and these, nerds will just gobble it up comes from the idea that I think they believed that was crap to begin with. And they had active disdain for the properties. It came out. Who was the showrunner of the Witcher series?
Yep.
She hated the source material.
Lauren is the
author.
And so they hated it. They thought it was crap to begin with. And there's like, well, if these nerds are gobbling up crap, we can just make our own crap and they'll keep gobbling it up.
I think some of it is not just because they're like heads are so in the cloud and so such. I think some of it is because they did put out shit and people bought it because it said Star Wars and Marvel. They did put out Force Awakens and make $2 billion, even though that thing was fucking trash. They did put out Captain Marvel, which was trash, but because they were able to sell it by it's sandwiched between the two most important and biggest comic book movies in history, and that thing went on to make $1.1 billion. So when they were putting those things out, I think they thought to themselves, look, they are showing up no matter what we put out here. So we might as well just do what we want.
One top film executive at a Disney rival says every studio should be looking for originals as sequels, and reboots continue to exhaust the culture as if they're packing in even if they're packing in moviegoers in the short term. I never thought I'd say this. The exec muses about the Magic Kingdom's Boy Troubles despite its gem box of iconic IP, but it looks like Disney is going to have to start trying.
No shit.
And I'm all in for a movie called Boy Trouble.
Well,
wow.
John Waters directing. I'm there.
Or maybe we could follow it up with something else that's said in this article. Guy leaning fair. Guy leaning fair.
They just did something so like a
of you there. That's Guy leaning fair. I'm all for that.
They're getting pitches about treasure hunting and world traversal. They just did that. Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Which they mentioned.
How'd that work out?
Not very well.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge. They thought it was a good idea to put Phoebe Waller-Bridge in an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Whoever thought that was a good decision should be fired. Oh, Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
But even after that with Indiana Jones, what did they do with Phoebe Waller-Bridge? Amazon brought her on to do the Tomb Raider project. Where's that? 4 years later, millions of dollars later, nowhere. Absolutely fucking nowhere.
But she was the flavor of the week.
Exactly. She did Fleabag. All the women who are in control of these things now were like, oh, Fleabag, amazing. Let's get Phoebe Waller-Bridge in to do these male shit. Male don't give a fucking flying.
All my managers are saying, when can I get a remodel?
I don't know a single woman who, in my circle at least, that liked Fleabag.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who liked Fleabag. It seemed like it was very popular within Hollywood.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, because they could relate to a woman who plays victim the whole show, and then you realize at the end she was the one that fucked her friend over.
If Sex in the City was like out now, not the dumb one that just got canceled, Sarah Jessica Parker would be in every fucking superhero movie.
Yeah, true.
I heard Ripa was going to cast her for Horseman.
Nerderotic.com. Please subscribe.